So now we will learn about the functional area in the parietal lobe. We have learned sulci and gyri. In the sulci and gyri we have learned this is central sulcus, pre-central sulcus, post-central sulcus. This is post-central gyrus. So in the post-central gyrus there is a area which is known as primary sensory area, area number 312. We are giving the number like this 312 primary sensory area. So this primary sensory area, it is also slightly extended on the medial surface of the cerebral hemisphere in the posterior part of paracentral lobule. So this part is all here also there is the extension of the primary sensory area. Now our body is again similar to the motor area. Our body is again represented in upside down manner, and these areas it receives sensation, particularly exteroceptive and proprioceptive sensation from the opposite half of the body. Exteroceptive sensation, they are touch, pain, temperature. Proprioceptive sensation, you know, these are the vibration, muscle and joint sense. The area of cortex representing a particular part of our body, it is directly proportional to the functional significance of that part and not to the size of that part. That means the organs or the parts of our body which are highly sensitive, they have larger representation in the primary sensory area. That means tip of the hand, tongue, lips, they have larger representation in the post-central gyrus, or we can say primary sensory area. We will see in the figure also. Lesion of the primary sensory area, it leads to loss of appreciation of exteroceptive and proprioceptive sensation from the opposite half of the body. Now another functional area, that is secondary sensory area. It is located in the upper lip of the posterior ramus of lateral sulcus. So this is the posterior ramus of lateral sulcus, and in the upper lip, so somewhere here is the location of secondary sensory area. Whole body is represented bilaterally in this area. This area is mainly concerned with the pain perception, and ablation of this area, it results in it relieves the intractable pain. Now we will see another area, that is sensory association area. Sensory association area, it occupies the superior parietal lobule, and it is given the number 5 and 7 of Brodmann. Now we will see where is the superior parietal lobule. So first of all we will again locate the central sulcus, post central sulcus, and behind the post central sulcus this is parietal lobe. We have roughly divided this parietal lobe by intraparietal sulcus somewhere here into superior parietal lobule and inferior parietal lobule. This area is inferior parietal lobule. This is superior parietal lobule. So over this superior parietal lobule there is a location of sensory association area, area number 5 and 7 of Brodmann. It is concerned with the perception of shape, size, roughness and texture of the object. So it enables the individual to recognize the object placed in his or her hand without seeing the object. This ability is referred to as stereognosis, and if there is a lesion in this area, person cannot recognize the object placed in his or her hand by its feel. This condition is known as tactile agnosia or astereognosis. Now we will learn about the sensory speech area of Wernicke. We have learned about the motor speech area. Now this is sensory speech area of Wernicke. It is located in the dominant hemisphere similar to the Broca's area, and it is occupying in the posterior part of superior temporal gyrus. So this is superior temporal gyrus in the posterior part, but mainly it is located in the angular gyrus and supramarginal gyrus of the inferior parietal lobule. We have seen around the posterior ramus, we have learned this is the supramarginal gyrus. This is superior temporal sulcus. Around this there is angular gyrus. So this is supramarginal gyrus and this is angular gyrus. So over here there is a location of sensory speech area of Wernicke. So this vernix area, it is concerned with the interpretation of the language through visual and auditory stimuli. It is also essential for constant availability of learned word patterns. Both this vernix area and Broca's area, they lie in the same hemisphere, that is in the dominant hemisphere, in the majority of person in the left hemisphere, and both these areas, they are connected by association fiber, which is known as arcuate fasciculus, that you have to remember. Lesion of the vernix area in the dominant hemisphere, it results in inability to understand the spoken and written speech. This condition is known as sensory aphasia or receptive aphasia. Here in this condition, Broca's area is unaffected, so expressive speech is unimpaired. Individual can produce fluent speech, but he is unaware of the meaning of the word he is speaking. So he is speaking a non-existent word or meaningless speech. Angular and supramarginal gyrus, they are essential for the process of learning, such as reading, writing, and computing. The lesion of this area produce wide variety of aphasic disorder. In this, we have disability in reading, that is known as alexia; disability in writing, that is agraphia; difficulty in computing, it is known as acalculia; and difficulty in naming the object, it is known as anomia. If there is a lesion which is involving both Broca's and vernix area, that is resulting in the total loss of speech, that means a person cannot speak also, and there is also loss of understanding of the spoken and written speech, that is known as global aphasia.